My name is Commissioner Olga Lucia Castaño, Chairperson for LCV, and I will be sharing the meeting today. Today, LBC meeting is a full in-person meeting, so members are asked to be present in the Metro Orlando boardroom. The virtual auction is available for LBC members who were not able to join us in person. However, as a reminder, we must have a physical in-person quorum in the room in order to take action in any item that requires a vote. Once we have met in person, any member joining remotely may have their vote recorded. I'll ask all committee members to please speak clearly and use your microphones so those joining us virtually can hear us. Likewise, members who are joining us remotely, you should unmute your microphone when you have any questions or wish to participate in the conversation. A Zoom link has also been provided for the public participation today. There are few public comments points in the meeting. Members of the public who are here in person and want to make a comment should submit a speaker card to Ms. Rachel Frederick. Those attending in Zoom who want to speak can use a raise hand feature on Zoom screen. I will share more about how to make public comments in just a few moments. We are also accepting comments by email before the meeting. Any writing comments will be summarized for the record. Before we move on, I'd like to invite Ms. Sharon Jennings to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Ms. Jennings. The Corona Assurance Task Force did not meet last month, so there are no report. The next QATF meeting is scheduled for October 24th at 10 a.m. here at Metroplan Orlando. Metroplan Orlando has included a segment called Safety Moments as a part of each meeting, and today we will hear from Mr. Mike Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This morning's safety moment, again, focusing on our Vision Zero safe system approach. We've just kicked off our Vision Zero plan in the past month. We're focusing on safer people this month, and actually going back to June, since I'm afraid you all are sort of lagging a little bit compared to our committee members. So I'm sorry for being a little late on the content for you there, but it's always relevant. And so June was Safe Teen Driving Month. So I want to talk a little bit about teen drivers and some of their particular stats and concerns. We looked at data for our metro area, looking at teen driving crash trends. And what was interesting, we wanted to kind of look at pre and post COVID. A lot of things have changed over the past 5 years. And then what was interesting is that all ages and all crash levels actually declined over that period. You can see by about 18%, but our fatalities went up by 5% and went up way more for teen drivers. As you can see there, 39% increase in fatal teen crashes. When it came to distracted driving, once again, we actually saw a decline over the 5 years if we look at overall. And even for teens, for all injury levels, we saw a significant decline, 18%. But once again, when it got to the most serious crashes with teen fatalities, we saw a big increase of 47%. So while the likelihood has reduced, which is good, but for some reason, the consequences have become more severe when these crashes do occur. Some things to note about teens and how they are different. They're more likely to engage in risky behavior, especially when there are other teens in the car, 2.5 times more likely, and especially when you have more than 2 passengers in the car. So that kind of leads us to what can we do from an actionable standpoint? Let's minimize the number of distractions for our teen drivers. So if you are a teen, if you have a teen, if you know a teen, talk to them about minimizing distractions, perhaps splitting up into multiple vehicles instead of piling a bunch of kids into one vehicle. And also reducing the amount of time that they spend driving at night. We see that teens are much more likely to be involved in nighttime crashes than other population cohorts. 2/3 of our teen fatalities happening during that period. So that concludes our safety moment for this month, and happy to take any questions.
No questions? So
I know. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just recently saw an expose on teen driving where they said 25 to 30% of teens have an accident in their first year of driving. And it's interesting because your number actually has us at 39%. So we're seeing an increase of the average. Do you know?
Well, we don't know, how that relates to their likelihood to have a crash, and we don't have exposure data.
Okay. No, I mean, they were just taking data with the sheriff's office and the federal Florida highway, and they were saying 25 to 30% for teen first year drivers have between 25 and 30%, but yours was at 39. So that must mean.
But the 39 was that was the increase over the from 2018 and 19 to 2021 and 22, there was an increase.
So it was only those 2 years versus these two years.
Right. That was the increase, not the percent of teens that were getting involved in crashes.
All right. Okay, thanks.
any other questions? Okay,
Thank you.
Mr. Wilson, thank you for helping us to keep safety top in mind. Messages are very important as they help us to be more aware, more careful, and more vigilant as we travel the Central Florida roads. Let's all commit to doing our part to make sure everyone arrives home safely. Now, Mrs. Wickington, you are up for agenda review and any announcements. Then we will move directly into the roll call and confirmation of quorum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Madam Chair and LCB members, and to all who've joined us today in the room and those who may be joining us online. I want to take the moment to thank you all for your participation today. I was sharing with one of our members that it seems like it's been such a long time since I've seen all of you, and it really has, because the May meeting I was attending a professional development conference, so it really is good to see all of you. Madam Chair, we do not have any changes to the agenda this morning, but I do have a couple of announcements. First announcement is that you've seen her name, and now we want to put a face to the Rachel Frederick name that you've seen. Rachel joined our team back in June, shortly after your May meeting, and she's going to be providing board services support to the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board and the Quality Assurance Task Force. Today, also, in addition to the TransDev team, who you'll meet on the agenda in just a moment, we have joining us Ms. Tiffany Homler-Hawkins. She is the CEO of Lynx, and we're glad to have her here with us today. And also, a special treat, we have Mr. Juan Lopez, who is the outreach representative and administrative assistant for Congressman Darren Soto's office. So welcome to all of you.
Welcome.
You may have noticed that our slides look a little bit different today. This is the beginning of an organization-wide graphics update that our communications team has been working on. In the near future, you will also experience updates to our website, printed materials, and other collateral material. We will keep you informed as we make those adjustments. Speaking of our comms team, Cynthia, Marianne, and Leilani won a Florida Public Relations Golden Image Award of distinction this week for Metro Plan Orlando's. Marianne, you're back. You get that applause, Marianne? All right. This was for Metro Plan Orlando's 2022 Notes on the Future Annual Report. The FPRA Golden Image Awards, they are a statewide competition, and we are just so incredibly proud of this team. They always bring home the hardware. The Commission for Transportation Disadvantaged will hold its annual conference and expo here in Orlando later this month. Marilyn Baldwin and Nika Berry and I will be attending the conference, and I want to say thank you in advance to Ms. Baldwin and to Ms. Berry for volunteering to represent the TDLCB. They're doing it because they want to. I'm doing it because I have to. And Madam Chair, this concludes my announcements this morning, and we are prepared to move forward with the agenda.
Okay, then we will move directly into roll call confirmation for quorum.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
Arnold. Baldwin. Bates. Berry.
Present.
Campbell. Castano.
Here.
Delano. Here. Gressick. Hickling.
Present.
Jennings. Kersey. Milia. Olds. Olson. Radka. Races. Smith. Stone. Uribe.
Present.
Witt. Zubritsky.
Present.
Madam Chairwoman, that concludes the roll call. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Rachel.
And Madam Chair, if I can make one correction,
Yes,
Mr. Olson responded when the name Olds was called, and Ms. Olds is not here, so for the record.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, no.
Really wanted a quorum.
But we do have a quorum.
twice.
But he does not count twice.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you for clearing that. Okay, we will now hear public comments on action items. Do we have anyone online who wants to speak to any of these items?
Madam Chair, we do not have anyone on the virtual side.
Okay. You will see, okay, because now, since we don't have anybody, I'm just gonna move to the next thing. Do we have any people present in the boardroom today who wish to comment on action items?
Madam Chairwoman, we do not.
Are there any writing comments that were submitted before the meeting?
We have not received any written comments, Madam Chair.
Our only action today are our minutes from May 11 TDLCB meeting. I'll ask first if there is any corrections that need to be noted.
Madam Chair, I'll call for motion for approval. Uribe.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are looking to, I'm sorry, I did that already. Right, no. We are looking to approval of the minutes. Yeah, we did that already. Yes, sorry. Remember, just be patient with me. This will be my second meeting and I love it. I just have to practice more. Okay. We have two presentations today. We'll first hear from Mr. North Hickling, Director of the Mobility Service at Access Link, who will come with the CPC update, including the TransVet team for their presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board here. It is good to be here after the transition with our new service provider is well in hand. So we'll be talking a little bit about that today. So it's good to be here. This is our Mobility Services Quarterly CTC report from Links. We'll be giving you an overview, just kind of where things stand. The access links and the trip demand that we're still experiencing. While that's leveled off a little bit, you'll see the numbers are still pretty strong. Our performance, our customer service activity, which really is centered around our call center. It's just some of the challenges that we continue to have, and in a summary, and I'd be glad to take any questions afterwards. So service provider transition, we have been through it. What we should have been still in that transition, that is way back in the rearview mirror at this point. So on June 1, we were out there. This was a picture taken that very morning. It was controlled chaos, but it all worked. And the TransDev team did a good job in getting set up. A transition, as we talked about in the past, that should have taken 120 days in a real world. We did in 29. Some say 27, but you know, there was weekends involved too. So call center still gets a lot of calls coming in. But the good news is we're starting to see a reduction in the number of calls coming in for estimated times of arrival. And I think the TransDev folks, and I know WC will be giving some different tools that we're going to be proposing in the very near future that will help with that even further. Paratransit vehicles. Good news is last Thursday, we just got word that the state contract with the Florida Department of Transportation was open, that we could start buying vehicles off of. So we are starting that process. Even had a meeting with finance yesterday to find out how much money old Norm has, and then he can go spend it on vehicles. So we are starting that process, but because we do have an aging fleet, and as anyone will tell you, driving around here in Florida in the heat and the humidity takes a beating on the vehicles, and it's time for us to start replacing some of those. So that's all good news. As far as trips, we have leveled out a little bit as the trip demand. For the year, or the fiscal year, I should say, we're right at 430,000 trips. In June, we did 47,787 trips, which again, it's been consistent with the last 3 months of that quarter that we just kind of are reviewing today. So, but today school is back in session, and we know that means more trips are coming. So, but the on-time performance, and I really want to point out, you can kind of see the remarkable recovery in June there that we had of 86% on-time performance. That's pretty close to getting us back to our goal of 90%, and that's where we want to be, and we want to be there consistently when we perform trips. We're still working through that and working on schedules and things of that sort. And I think as you see in the future quarterly reports, when I come back, you will see that above that 83%, and we'll be doing pretty well. I mean, for the month right now, we're looking at about 88%. Just for the month of August. So improvements are coming. One thing that we really want to do, and if this is a new metrics that you have not seen in the past, and we've showed it to our board of directors, it was the result of a question, but this is looking at the late trips, and we've broken those down by the number of minutes that we were actually late. You know, it's one thing if we pick up somebody 5 minutes late or maybe even 10 minutes late. It's an inconvenience, but it's not frustration, it's not anger, and rightly so. So, but when we look on that far right-hand side of 30 minutes or plus, that's the one we want to go focus on. We've had extensive conversations with TransDev and their scheduling team to make sure that we are focused on that. And so that's our commitment to all of you as board members. Those are the areas that we're going to look at very, very strongly and make sure we get those numbers down. I mean, it's one thing just because of traffic patterns, even today coming down Orange, didn't know that there was a detour, so we had to go around and work, and a lot of other people didn't know there was a detour, so it was a little bit slower getting here. Those types of things happen, and we just have to be understanding and open to that. But the 30 minutes, you know, the 25 to 30 minutes and plus being late, that's something that we really want to minimize as much as we possibly can. Not going to be perfect. Never want to promise that we'll be 100% perfect, but we want to minimize it. And then we have the trips by purpose, and we still want to keep showing you why people ride. And again, if you combine dialysis and medical, you will see that we are basically in the medical industry. We get people to their doctors and to the necessary medical services. And so that really puts a real strong focus on what we do and what our purpose in life is all about. Call center, still a lot of calls coming in. In June, we had 55,000, almost 56,000 calls. Speed of answer was 4 minutes and 44 seconds. And each rep, regardless of the day, is answering about 55 calls a day. That's a lot of time being on the phone. The good news is we're still right at that 84–85% of all calls coming in being answered. We want to keep working to increase that and get that closer to 90% also. There are times when calls drop, as we all know, and we can't control everything, but we want to answer as many calls as we can in a timely fashion as possible. So the challenges, the transition to the new service provider. We are getting to know each other. We are still working out all the bugs. We're identifying things that could have been identified a few months ago if we'd had the proper amount of time in the transition. But given what we have, we've been able to work very aggressively to go solve those and working together. The facility, which you see a picture there up on the, well, both pictures are actually from the facility on LB McLeod. That had been vacant for some period of time. And we literally, in about a 7-week period of time, brought it back to life. So it had a paint job, it had new tiles, it had new electrical circuits being put in, new air conditioning in the hottest time when this heat wave started, had to be replaced, a lot of lights, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and still some work to go do. But again, proud of the facilities team and everything that they did. They just worked, quite frankly, a miracle to get it to the point where on June 1 at 5 a.m. we were able to take that picture and actually operate. The vehicles we talked about, the aging fleet. We are looking at procuring a lot of new vehicles in the very next few months. We're right at the end of FY23, so we're going to use that budgeted money, and then as soon as we get into FY24, after our 1st of October, then we're going to start putting in another procurement request to get some additional vehicles, because we have, as you know, we have some vans out there, caravans that we've had for a time, and they just really limit us as to how many people we can put on those vans. And they're just not very comfortable, and they've served their useful life. And so we're going to give them an honorable burial. We won't tell you where, we'll just move on, but we are working to get those 46 vehicles out of our fleet and send them off. And one of the things that we've talked about with this group and the Quality Assurance Task Force many times is the map upgrade in the vehicles, the GPS on our MDTs. That's what tells the driver which way they need to go. One of the things that we have not done, had updated that map since 2018. As we all know, Orlando and the surrounding area has changed dramatically. We are in that process right now of updating that map. That will be done here probably in the next week or so. All 182 vehicles owned by Lynx will have new maps on those vehicles, as well as our software system that we do all the reservations. That map upgrade has already been completed. So I'm happy to say, so the last thing that we have to do is the vehicles. So that will ensure us not to have drivers thinking that they need to turn into an open field and drop you off. That is, or try to pick you up there either, because that has happened in some cases because there's a new development that happened in the last 5 years. So with that, everything we talk about, our commitment continues with TransDev ourselves, and I know you'll hear from WC and the TransDev team here in very shortly, but it's all about performance and system efficiencies, which all leads to, most importantly, customer satisfaction. So with that, I will leave you with that thought and be glad to entertain any questions you might have.
Hi Norm, it's good
Hi.
to see you and kudos for all your hard work to continue to, offer this. I did have a question. It's been so hot. How are the drivers doing? How are the patients who are being transported doing? It's just a lot more, when you think about what we're dealing with weather-wise nowadays. Just curious to know.
The drivers and the patients in the vehicles that the air conditioning is working are doing fine. It's the problem is keeping those vehicles out on the road. First of all, we won't run a vehicle without proper air conditioning. So right off the table, that means it goes into the shop and has to be addressed. The fact that the air conditioning are breaking down under the heavy load in some cases because of these older vehicles is causing us a huge problem. And so you'll see it impact our on-time performance a bit because you'll get a vehicle out, they're supposed to be working a route, air conditioning breaks, they have to bring it back or it has to be towed back. I mean, the other day in a 90-minute period of time, we had 7 vehicles, 3 that had to be towed and the other had to be brought back to the shop. So, but we won't send a vehicle out unless that air conditioning is working because we know it's critical that there's got to be some kind of comfort. We just can't put people through that, drivers and clients.
And you're making sure the drivers, because they still have to get out, open up,
They'll be the first ones that will call back and say air conditioning is not working.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, making sure they're staying hydrated and we're not seeing any complaints or any issues.
I don't think we have
Health-wise.
any problems or anything. No.
No?
This is Joey Hogan. He's the general manager. So. Okay.
Yeah, because it's just so incredibly hot, and just getting out and about normally is just tough. Just imagine. All right, just making sure everybody's doing good. Okay, thanks.
If I could make a comment, I can tell you that a lot of these drivers have been doing it for a while and they're not new to Florida. And so when you get in the vehicle, almost everyone will have some form of backpack or duffel bag with multiple drink options and food and the AC guys at the shop must be working overtime, and what they do well, because sometimes you get into a vehicle, most of the times you get into a vehicle and it's closer to an ice box than it is the Sahara. So
Well, thank you. Thank you,
so-
sir.
and I ride more often than most, so.
Yeah. I've not heard complaints in the dialysis community either, so.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay.
I know, and again, I echo that. Thank you for all that you all have done to make it a smooth transition. I do have a question regarding the new matrix, if that can be put up again. What period of time does that cover? This one.
This is for the entire fiscal year. We
Okay.
break it down by the month. I can make this get quite long. So maybe next time I'll just show it by the quarter.
Okay,
But this is the first time we've showed it to you. So
Yeah.
this is, when you look at 10,000 that are 30 minutes, this is since October 1 of 2022. So it's for the entire fiscal year 23.
so October 2022 through
Went through June.
June, okay,
Yeah.
because I'm like, we're still in the fiscal year, okay. Okay, and then my other question was the increase to 86%. Can we go to that slide? That was the trip increase here. So the number of trips decreased for the month of June, right? And so the trips.
Yeah, it was 47, it was 47,000, but the first month that TransDev was operating the service, their on-time performance went to 86% for the month.
With less trips, right?
With less trip,
So,
yes,
but
yes.
We're preparing because we're expecting an increase, so something's been put in place, so.
Yeah, they just redid the schedule. They did
Okay.
their run cut. And it's something that with the software that you can look at and do analytics on it on a continuous basis to see what's my challenges at, 10 o'clock in the morning versus noon, or at 2 o'clock in the afternoon versus 4 PM. And you can start adjusting those schedules. So they just went through that first iteration. And so that'll happen, I'm sure, many more times as we go to try to get it honed. So we can get to the traveling patterns of our clients.
It'll be interesting to see at our next meeting what that looks like.
Sure.
I'm excited about it. And then my last one is regarding the calls. We're at 84%. May we go to that slide, please?
Whoops, went too far,
I
sorry.
think it's
There you go.
calls answer 84%, and we're trying to, you said you want to increase it. We're still working towards 90. What's
Right.
happening? What are you all doing to be able to increase that? What's changing?
Well, obviously, we want to make sure we got more fidelity on-time performance first and foremost out. If you know we're going to be on time, you're going to trust us. And you're not going to get into that pattern like we have kind of trained our clients. Oh, gosh, it's 5 minutes late. I know they're going to be 45 minutes late. I'm going to call. So we got to get back into just performing at that 90% on-time performance level. You're going to see some mobile devices or mobile application that you can track your trip with on your phone if you so desire, and you won't have to make that phone call for that ETA, which will help us then lower the number of calls. But again, just pure performance alone, that's the best medicine for this type of work.
All right, so when they, because that 10,211 calls for that amount of time to be significantly late, that's major. Do they receive any type of, phone call to say, I apologize? Like what happens when that
That
occurs?
is our practice to try to
Okay.
call. Now, we don't always get in touch with everybody, obviously. They don't answer their phone, or we might have a wrong phone number that's outdated. They may have changed phone, things of that sort, but that is our practice to try to contact them as to the reasons why.
Okay, and who makes that contact?
Both our customer service folks, if they call us, and or the scheduling and dispatching folks from the service provider.
That's interesting, but important, because I
Yeah.
think being late is obviously not, but that late really deserves some type of communication.
Yes.
To the consumer. Okay, well, thank you.
Well, again, the best answer is not be late.
Right,
So, yeah,
that's what I look forward to. I can't wait until the next set of that.
Oh, we get it. Yes,
But if it happens, then it's good to know that they call them back.
yes.
Because we got a phone call last time from a lady that she was saying that sometimes she had to wait up to 2 hours, and that the dispatcher, didn't get in touch with her. So that was the phone call that we got last time.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, if I may, before you move on, let me yield to Mr. Melia if he had.
Are you sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if this is the right time, but I'd like to ask about the tracking website. I was set up with it for, years ago, and I'm only able to keep so much information between my ears at one time. Is there any place on the website where Access Links users can go to get information on that website and get set up with it so that they can cut down on the calls received
I'm
to some
gonna
extent?
defer that answer. Yes, it's coming, but I'm gonna defer that answer, Bob, to let the Transdeb. I don't want to step on their toes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So you're
Thank
gonna
y'all.
introduce the,
Madam Chair, if I may, just
Okay.
as Transdev is coming and Norm is being seated. I sent during the transition, I sent some emails, just sharing compliments and accolades to this team. They have done an incredible job of transitioning. And when we thought the sky was going to be falling, we really did expect that to happen. But it was just very, very gratifying, if you will, to not receive one phone call. And usually our phones ring off the hook when things are going wrong, but they don't ring off the hook when things are going right, which is also a good sign. But I just wanted to compliment and commend this team, and also to share that at the end of the beginning of the transition, when things were starting to not go so well, Norm and his team went above and beyond to address some of the customer service issues that were happening. One in particular that I know, he went to see a person in person. And so I just wanted to go on record to share just how incredibly proud I am to be a part of this team and knowing the hard work that they did to get this transition done. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Salida, Mohammed, others.
Madam Chair, before the TransDev team comes up, Tiffany Homler-Hawkins, CEO of Blinks. I wanted to just echo what Virginia said. It really was a team effort across all departments within the Lynx organization, and the commitment that TransDev made to Central Florida when it became very apparent that we were not going to be able to get an extension with our previous contractor. TransDev's commitment was we will be on the ground tonight, and that was a Monday night when we made that call. So it really was a team effort, and it led by Norm and Salida and Ben, who you all see all the time here, and that's your first line of defense. But I needed to publicly thank Norm and the team, as well as TransDev in front of this group. I've been in front of this group before for over 20 years, and the love fest that is going on right now, I'm going to relish it for a little bit. We'll get a little bit of grace, and I want to thank Ms. Berry for her participation on the selection committee representing the interest of the TDLCB. We weren't sure how this was going to go. We knew it was a very short time frame. We were just basically ripping the Band-Aid off. But as we explained to our board members, as well as this group, it was the entire organization's commitment to making sure that our passengers didn't really notice a difference. And they did notice a difference. The first day, we got compliments, and a lot of these drivers are the same drivers. So there was a sense of familiarity. They were just wearing different shirts, and I'm probably stealing some of WC's thunder. So I'm going to turn it over to him, but he is no stranger to Central Florida. He was the first general manager under our previous contractor when we went with a single provider in 2002, 2003 timeframe. So thank you for the indulgence, and I will turn it over to the TransDev team.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm WC Peel with TransDev. Some of you I've known for 20 years. I was very nice to catch up with Miss Baldwin, and she was talking about how are your little boys? And they were 2 and 4 back when I was here as general manager. They're now 22 and 24. So a lot's changed over a couple decades, but it's really great to come back home to Central Florida and work with all of you in helping make service better for our passengers. So see if I can do this. And I just want to add one more comment to that. It has been an amazing experience. It's I think the phrase is extraordinary circumstances need extraordinary partners. And so the partnership that we experienced with all the folks at Lynx and our TransDev crew and all the folks in the communities that we work with has been great. And it's you can see the impact already on service, and our job is to keep that incremental improvements happening. And there we go. Just a little bit about TransDev. We are a global organization. I put up the map here, not to brag about the size of the company, but to talk about the amount of resources that we can bring here to Central Florida, which is how we were able to work together to pull together a 29-day startup, not 27. I agree with Norm. I put the wrong number on the slide in a second here. But by bringing in those resources from all around the United States, and even some of our global assistance for some of the technology, is how we're able to work together to make things better. So partners focused on our passengers, that is what we are all about. It is all about that excellent customer service experience for those who use our services. So 29-day transition, and boy, did we get creative. A lot of time sitting in some war rooms, figuring out, okay, how do we take a 4-month transition and do it in less than 4 weeks? But we're really proud of what we put together. Now, as Norm mentioned, now we're looking back and okay, we can finish putting the other pieces together that we had to move past to get things going. The rehabilitative facility for Access Lynx is phenomenal. And it's also nice and cool now too. There are some amazing efforts by the Lynx facilities crew to help us get in there. onboarding the existing team. That's something that was important. We wanted to make sure all the employees knew that they had jobs with us. There was a lot of discussion about that early on, making sure we could bring everybody on board and then help improve the culture of our entire workforce with the things that TransDev does to make that customer focus. Immediate morale and cultural improvement within the division. We've seen that right away. A lot of folks, and again, for me, it was fun because some of my new drivers back when I was here are our senior drivers now. And so it's been a good experience in seeing that. And then it's about transparency and performance. And so I'm actually going to hand things off now to Bill Sproul. He's our regional vice president who brings resources here to help Joey, our general manager. You'll hear from Joey about how we're performing. And I also want to point out Johanna, who's our operations manager as well. She won't be presenting today, but she's here to listen and get to know all of you as well. It's the right arrow. All right.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. As WC said, I'm Bill Sproul. I have been in the transit industry for, gosh, a long time, 40 years actually. Started when I was in college. And so this is what I do. I love, it's my passion, and we're really excited to be able to bring that here to Orlando and Lynx. As WC said, it was a sprint. This startup is sort of like running the 100-yard dash when you had signed up to run the marathon, maybe actually that walking marathon that people do. So that's how we compress this time frame. But the partnership that we receive from starting from all of you, the Lynx board, the Lynx staff, Norm and his team, we couldn't have done it without that partnership. So we're really excited to be here. And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to all of you for having the faith in us that we can do this, because we will do this for you, and to Norm and to Tiffany and the whole team. It was a race. We now have over 400 employees delivering the service every day. We have 185 Lynx vehicles that we operate. Norm has talked about the condition of those vehicles, and many of those vehicles hopefully get replaced in the near future. The facility that we're operating from on LB McLeod, the work that went into that to get that ready was pretty phenomenal, that we pulled that off in the amount of time that we did. We are using new software. One of the pieces that we bring is a piece of software called Vision, and WC is going to show you a snippet of that here in a minute. And it allows us to do what Norm said, and that is to look at what's going on during the day and start to be proactive. And that's how we're going to be able to get those on-time performance numbers that the customers deserve and the community deserves. Our goal from the beginning was a seamless startup for the passengers, even though we were in that 100-yard dash. And I think we pulled that off successfully with the partnership with the Lynx staff. It was a lot of hard work, spent a lot of time in Orlando. I was happy to do that. I like Florida, so it was good to be here for so many days, but we're really happy about that. As I said, we've got over 300 operators performing the service. Many of those, as you can see, are incumbents. We do have some new drivers. We got some DBE partners that we've brought in that are also helping deliver the service. All of that is under the framework of our team, TransDev expectations for performance and accountability and safety and service reliability. But all of those folks come together. You can see we've conducted almost 9,500 hours of training with all of those drivers to make sure that they understand, as an incumbent driver, what our expectations are, and that renewed energy that we've brought to the program. We find in this case and in some other cases as well, the incumbent employees, they want to do a good job. They want to see that from the management team. They want to see that from the company that they work for. And so we bring that energy to renew ourselves back to delivering quality of service. So we've got our maintenance team in place. They are working hard on those air conditioners. You're absolutely right. I will say, as Norm talked about, on-time performance goes down a little bit when you get oppressive heat like this, because everybody we all do it, right? We all slow down a little bit because of the heat, but we are keeping the drivers hydrated and making sure that they stay safe. One of the things that the Lynx team does that's really cool is they provide us with the same information that they put out on their fixed route system about dehydration, about heat warnings. And so we're partnering on all that messaging too. So anyway, we're excited to be here. I'm going to turn it over to Joey to talk about what we've been able to accomplish, but I wanted to stand here when I put this chart up before Joey got up here to speak, because we're really proud of this chart. And as you can see, what we've been able to do as soon as we started service, and our goal is 90% or higher. We've been able to do that for 20 days so far. And we're going to continue to work hard at that. But I'm going to introduce Joey Hogan, who's our general manager. He is our contact. He's our manager on the ground and delivering the service every day. Joey?
Thank you.
I didn't even see what I'm doing here. Good morning.
Good morning.
I guess first, WC, he was my boss 20 years ago, and I can't tell you how special Orlando is. Bob, you haven't aged. Miss Baldwin, and so thank you. No, not a bit. That wasn't even going without that. So, but Orlando's special. When I got here, I was 25. I didn't even know what a wheelchair did. I never heard of dialysis. I learned everything here in Orlando, and then went to Kentucky, Alaska, California, and all over the country, New York, but it all started here. So it's really special to come here and, quite frankly, get it back to the way it used to be. It was a special place, and it's the team. We still have, I think, 20 drivers that were trainees when we were here doing it, and they care a bunch, and they hold me accountable every day. And it's been an amazing couple of months. Not a lot of sleep, but it's been amazing. On-time performance is going up. It's not good enough. We're going to be in the 90s. We have days it's all about consistency, and I remind the team every day, we can have 6 great days and one, and you got to start over again and build faith again, so it's, and then luckily school came and traffic slowed down this morning. And so best laid plans. And that's what we're just going to keep doing, is figuring out the recipe. But I couldn't be any happier. Excessive late is unacceptable. We call, we check, we're proactive. That we will not have a 10,000 number up there on the board. That's just not going to be that way. Everything with us is proactive. Prior planning prevents poor performance. That's all we talk about, trying to control the things that we can control, whether it's the fleet, whether it's scheduling. I can't control a thunderstorm. I can't control if I-4 is going to shut down, but I can schedule properly. We can figure the place, and we can control the things we can to handle those difficult things that come up. And the team is really buying in. Everything's about a partnership. We're retraining everybody right now. We did the initial to get in the door. Now we're actually going through every operator from door to door, from wheelchair recertification, vehicle maneuvering. I'm really big, and everybody hates it, tone. 90% of conflict is really due to tone, not what you say, but how you say it. So I'm a broken record with trying to get people to speak to each other the way you want to. And it's going well. And I can talk all day about operations. I'll let WC talk about all of our toys. But thank you.
Thank you.
So one of the first things that we put in that we had promised the Link staff that we would bring is our command console. And this is something we've created that layers on top of the Trapeze software. And it really gives all of the information to our team in a real-time basis, and we share it for full transparency to our Links partners as well. And so what this allows us to do, instead of a dispatcher having to go through the software and go find the information, it puts it all right up in front of them. And we can break down by hour on-time performance. In that hour, we can break down by trip on-time performance, all the way down to the trips that are on each vehicle, et cetera. And we can do predictive things. So we know at 9 a.m. that at 2:30, Route 101 is going to start running late because what's already happened this morning in traffic. So we're able to move trips. The passenger doesn't even know that they used to be on vehicle 100 and now they're on vehicle 200. Those are not the right vehicle numbers, Norm. I'm just making numbers up when but we're able to make those moves before it actually affects our customers. And so it's something that we're excited about. It's something that we're staying tuned into, and that's why we're very close to how we're getting to that 90% level, and then we need to find that consistency. There's 2 things I wanted to just bring up today that are coming soon, because frankly, we're going to need your help. We have what we call our agency portal and then My Transit Manager. I'll get to My Transit Manager in a second. But we have deployed this. And again, this is something we've created that attaches to the software. And, many of you have been in and out of airports. If you think about the My Agency portal, it's that when the flights are leaving and when they're coming in and all that good stuff, but apply that to paratransit. So My Agency portal for our dialysis centers, for other places that are major trip generators, this is something we can set them up with so they can see each person's trip in and out, what vehicle they're on, what the vehicle ETA is, that kind of thing, which does reduce phone calls to our partners at Lynx, because you don't have to call because you're not sure what's happening. And then also it helps supervisors on the scene at major trip generators too, to coordinate that traffic at those peak pickup and drop off times. For the My Transit Manager, this is going to be rolled out here, where we always start with a pilot program. And so that's when I mentioned that we're going to need some help from you. We're going to work very closely with Lynx staff. We're going to identify a few passengers who use the system all the time, so we can get their feedback, and you do a pilot program in each location where you roll this out. So we work out the small kinks. Every system has its own very specifics that we need to make sure are appropriately reflected through the app. But what this does is it puts in the hands of the customers, the passengers, their caregivers, mom, dad, any of the folks that are wanting to know what's happening with the trip. They can log in and they can see where that vehicle is. They can see what the ETA is and all that good stuff. So it's really about that transparency, because it helps us improve that customer perception and customer service by giving you more information in your hands. And then you have the ability to rate the trip. Like if you got out of an Uber or a Lyft or something like that, you can rate the trip afterwards. You can put comments in, and we have used that as a very valuable tool in many of our paratransit locations to get instant feedback about how things are going. We can see what trends are and those kind of things. So what our goal is timeline wise for both of these is probably in September, we'll get these pilots going. We need a couple more weeks to finish working out a few kinks. In September, we'll be working closely with Lynx staff to get the pilots together, and then hopefully they'll be up and running for everybody October, November-ish is the timeline we're looking at right now. Can we answer any questions for you?
Any questions?
I just have a little, did you, go ahead, Ms. Baldwin.
I'm sorry. No, please.
What technology do you think will be helpful for persons who are blind and vision impaired? I know that we want to make sure that everything is accessible, but any thoughts on how we can make it easier so that the client who talked to us last month and our other clients who are blind and vision impaired aren't out waiting and wondering, where is my trip? And especially in the heat.
No, I'm glad you asked that question. So some of the things that we currently do now that are going to continue, the call out, the automated call out about your ride and that sort of thing is still going to happen. Also, the customer facing technology we've created, it does respond appropriately to accessible technology. So many of our visually impaired friends have readers that can read the information to them. This technology is compatible with that. We've tried that out in a lot of places, Ms. Baldwin, to make sure it works. So this is also available not just in an application on your personal device, but you can also get to it through an internet connection as well. And many folks have the reading software where they can find out, and that is also accessible. So for our visually impaired friends that need the information, they can get it through the same kind of technologies they've been able to before, but also those call outs when the vehicle's getting close, we have that ability to continue to do that.
Very good. Thank you.
You bet. Great question. Thank you.
You have
Comment to, and I don't know whether this is something that can be rectified in the future, but I was wondering, when a passenger is booked to go to a certain destination, and there are other people, or there's another person that needs to be dropped off in an area that's far from where that person is supposed to go, and the rider says, well, couldn't you drop me off first? And then, because it's, if you have to drop this other lady to her particular destination in another direction, it's going to be it's going to make me late for my appointment. Could you not drop me first and then go and bring her to her appointment? And often we are told, or most of the time we are told, that is not possible. They cannot change the direction that the vehicle is going because it's sort of set in stone. And I've found that sometimes a little bit off-putting in that, couldn't the driver compensate a little bit and say, okay, well, you're right. If I drop that lady home, go to her destination now, it will make you late for yours. But I can't do it because it's not on the schedule. Is there not any way that some, a little bit of give and take can be, done in a case like that, so that it can the driver communicate with the dispatch and find out if they could make the switch? I don't know if that's possible, but it has happened a few times, like going to church and somebody is in a different direction. And I tell the driver, well, drop me off first, and then you can take this person to their destination, which is 15 minutes out of the way, so that I can arrive in time for my service. And very often they say, no, they can't do it because it's not on the schedule. Is there any way that some sort of, a little bit
understand
of
the question.
consideration be made?
Sure. No, I understand the question. So a few things on that. First of all, it's our hope that you're going to start to see continued improvement in how the rides are scheduled as we have more folks on the street, as we get more vehicles on the street and in the condition that they need to be. Some of those symptoms of the wrong folks being on the wrong bus together should start to go away as we continue to improve how we schedule. Certainly, our drivers are empowered to call dispatch. If something happened in the software that didn't make sense, they are absolutely empowered to call dispatch to talk through that with them and make that decision on the scene there. But then I also want to caveat that it is a shared ride service. And when we do put the schedules together, there are always going to be times when we pick up someone, have to go over here and get that person, then drop this person off and that. But I understand your question. And sometimes if it just doesn't make sense, is there something we can do about it? Yes, the driver can call dispatch. We can talk through it and hopefully have a better solution. But I hope that you'll see less of those challenges as we continue to do what we're doing with retraining, that trapeze upgrade, the map that Norm talked about that we're improving. All of these things will help to diminish the amount of times you see that happen.
Also, I have another comment. I mean, as a regular rider, and I have no idea how the inner workings are done with links and their drivers, but quite a lot of comments have been made to me and my daughter who rides it also. They say that right now, with the new takeover or the transition, that very often the drivers are something about having to repay or pay something towards using the vehicle that they're now allowed to take home. And it interferes with the number, and also it interferes with the number of rides that they are able to do one day in order to break even and earn a decent salary. Right now, apparently it is 15 rides a day for those particular drivers to be able to break even. What now with the new implementation of this money that they have to give towards using the vehicle? I'm not sure exactly, but
No, I think I can help
Right,
explain what's
right.
going on. So first of all, for our TransDev employees, that is not that situation. For the majority of the employees, they are our employees, right? So they work for us, they get paid by the hour. It doesn't matter how many trips they do. There's none of that happens. We do have quite a few local small business partners that are our DBE subcontractors. And before I go where I'm going next, I want to explain, but those folks have the same requirements for training, drug and alcohol testing, all the things that we require of our drivers, those drivers have too. However, some of these small businesses have different ways that they compensate their employees. So if that's something that's a particular challenge, please encourage that driver, call this young man, and Joey will have a conversation with those folks to straighten that out. It sounds like that's a business situation with one of those small businesses and their driver that that's kind of how they manage their part of it. But we don't want that to impact service. And so if there is a challenge that the person you know who experienced that, please do reach out to Mr. Hogan and we'll get to the bottom of that. Okay.
I have another question. Could you give me some idea, or give us some idea of the subcontractors that are now, in other words, I think we lost Silver Ride, that is no longer part of the group that takes passengers. We still have UServe. Can you tell me the names of the other subcontractors that would be likely to come and pick us up?
Oh, certainly. So we have 5 small business partners.
Okay.
Every one of them is a disadvantaged business enterprise, a DBE company. So Lynx had a goal for DBE participation, and we're proud to be able to actually exceed that goal working with our local small business partners. But there are companies, our business partners are CPR, ProCal, Big Star, Community.
Well,
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
Yes, you need to know. I need to know the name.
Sure. So CPR,
CVR, what is?
C is in Charlie, P is in Paul, R is in Romeo, CPR. You know, and if this is something actually we can get to you
Yes.
to share with the whole group, instead of you having to worry about writing it down today, we'll get you that information if you
Well,
want.
I mean, very often a ride comes to us and it's not one that we're familiar with.
Sure.
And so it would be very helpful if we knew it's UServe and who else are the ones
Yeah,
that
I'll
are.
get an email to
that-
this group to share with all of you, if that's all right.
Okay, but that would be very helpful
Sure.
because that is, we right now, we don't know what's authentic, what's,
Sure. But our goal also, I do want to reiterate, our goal is that no matter which driver shows up to deliver that Access Links trip, should be the same quality service, with the same kind of training, all of the same requirements we require of our employees, we do require of our small business partners as well. So it should be the same quality regardless of what patch is on their shirt, but we'll get you that information.
I'd be glad. Thank you
Sure.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful questions. And thank you for all the answers.
You betcha.
Madam Chair, I think Commissioner Uribe, did you?
No, I'm
She
just,
said she
Oh,
was
okay,
fine with it.
okay, I did have a couple of things I wanted to, just go on, put on your calendars. And then a question to ask. Your September pilots that will be rolling out in the October, November timeframe-ish, perfect timing in November. We typically have an annual, public meeting that offers an opportunity for us to give information to the public as well as receive feedback from them. So that would be really great if that stays on time, that we can highlight that and the My Portal and the My Transit will be really, really good. And then when things settle down after the new year, maybe we can do a field trip with this group to come out and take a look at your facilities out there.
Absolutely.
So after things settle down,
Sure.
but we love to be able to expose our members to be able to come out and see the operation.
Fantastic.
And then the 5 providers that you're using, is UServe one of them? Because that is one group that we have heard resounding that people love them. So are they one of them?
Yeah.
One of the providers?
They're not one of the small business partners, but they are also being used outside of that. We're coordinating with the Link staff and they're helping us with UServe at the moment in time.
Okay, we'll talk.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Madam Chair, could I have 30 more seconds?
Yes, please.
I'll beg for forgiveness. I'm gonna take control of their chart. If I can find it real quick, I promise. The 315 professional operators. I'd be remiss if I didn't we flew over that pretty quickly and we did in 29 days. But I'm gonna introduce Salita Stubbs. Salita, stand up. I'm embarrassing the heck out of her right now and I'm doing it purposely because I'll hear about it in the car. And Mohammed Gad. Salita is our senior manager. Mohammed is our mobility manager of data. It wasn't an easy thing of just transferring those folks over, 315 folks. Each one of those folks had to go through a review process. I wasn't the bad guy. Those two were, okay? If they didn't have their driver's license up to date, they didn't have their medical up to date, they didn't have all their required driving experiences, all the certifications that they needed to have, that we can put them back out on the road, even if they had been doing it 2 weeks prior, they weren't going to pass. And so again, they play a really mean team, by the way. So, but they're good folks and they got through it. But that 315 is because of what they did. Okay, so it wasn't, we made it sound easy, but there was a lot of, some of us, we pull our hair out. Slita doesn't, Muhammad didn't, but they did a really incredible job of making that happen. So I just didn't want that to go without notice. So thank you.
Thank you.
And WC, we don't have wrong people on our vehicles. So I just.
Okay. But that was a good comment. All right. Anybody else have any questions?
Hi, this is Jamie Ledgerwood. I'm with FDOT District 5. I just want to congratulate Links for an awesome job and also TransDev for a wonderful transition and making it so smooth. Obviously, we didn't have any public comments today, which I found was great because sometimes people call in and make comments about late, pickups and stuff. So I just want to congratulate you both for a good job.
Yes, congratulations. Okay. I ask that if you have any questions for either of the presenters, please stand your name card on end. We will call on those who have questions at the end of each presentation. Remember, who may have joined on Zoom, please raise your virtual, but this we already did. So I think we're gonna skip that because we already did this. Okay, Mr. Hecklin, you are recognized for your dates, which we already did. All right. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Peel? Any questions or comments? No? Okay, so let's just move. There are four general information items, I like to call attention to item A, which is a resolution in support of Blind American Equality Day on October 15, 2023. The resolution is being presented to the Metro Plan Orlando Board for approval in September. Ms. Wilkinson, can you please give us a quick update on this year's activity?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you all are aware, the Blind Americans Equality Day is established each year, October 15th. It will be on a Sunday. The Metro Plan Orlando Board is expected to adopt and approve a resolution supporting this annual event. And in addition, the counties within the region and all of the cities will be asked to also adopt similar resolutions. We are working with the Florida Department of Transportation to potentially, I emphasize that word, host an event during Mobility Week in conjunction with the BEEP demonstration project that is happening in downtown Orlando. BEEP is an autonomous shuttle pilot project that the city of Orlando and Links are undertaking, and they will be testing this vehicle in Creative Village. And so we are hopeful that we'd be able to invite this board to join us for free rides during Mobility Week. Now, plans have not been solidified, but we will keep you posted and invitations will go out as we move closer. We are also expecting that one of our other community partners will take the lead on the blind experience this year. And again, as we get closer to that event, we will send out invitations and hope that you all will be able to join us. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, I'm also encouraging the three counties to pass the resolution in support of the Blind American Equality Day. That would be something great to do. All right, let's move on. Thank you. Other upcoming meetings and events of interest are listed for your information. I want to thank Mrs. Marlington Baldwin and Ms. Nika Berry in advance for representing us at the 31st Annual CTD Training Workshop at the end of this month. And understand Ms. Wigington will be one of the session presenters again this year. We have now reached member comments. At this time, do any of the members want to make a final comment? If so, please indicate so that by turning your nameplate on the end, if you wish to speak. Okay. We have now come to our second public comments period. If any members of the public wish to comment and are joined, and I'm sorry, if any of the members of the public wish to comment and are joining us virtually, please use the raise hand function and you will be recognized, or dial *9 on your phone keypad. We'll send you a prompt to unmute your microphone. After you are recognized, please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to up to 2 minutes. Do we have any join virtually who would like to make a comment?
Madam Chair, we have not received any requests to speak on the virtual side.
Thank you. Do we have any members of public attending in person who wish to make a public comment?
I have not received any comments.
Are there any writing comments that were submitted before the meeting?
We have not received any written comments, Madam Chair.
Okay. At this time, if there is no further businesses, we stand adjourned. Thank you and have a blessed day. Thank you for our new company for helping us with the transportation. And let's give them a big applause for that. And we're looking forward to continue working together.
Madam Chair and members, just before you all jet out, I have one survey question that I would like to pose to you all after the meeting
Yes.
it stops. I'm going to be doing a presentation at the Commission for Transportation Disadvantaged Conference. Commissioner Uribe joined me on a panel last year and they liked us so much, they brought us back. This year's topic is how to dress your TDLCB board for success. So how to dress your board for success. So my question to you all is, what does that mean to you in terms of your participation on our board? If you could just give me one word, and this is not part of the record, but one word of what that means to you to have your board effectively function. One word. Yeah, put everybody else.
Caring.
Caring,
Approachable.
approachable, thank you. Engaged, professional,
And understanding.